Okay, looks like we're ready to get started here. Thank you for joining us. Today's free webinar is SS&C Eze EMS trading platform. It's formerly known as RealTick, built for active traders and the pros. Before we get started, I have a quick disclaimer that I need to read, so just bear with me while I go through this. This presentation is for informational purposes only. Nothing presented today should be construed as investment advice or recommendation to buy, sell, or hold any security or contract. Since we don't know everyone's investment objectives or risk tolerances, we are not endorsing any specific trading strategies. Security, derivative, and futures trading involves a substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Each investor must consider whether this is a suitable investment, since you may lose all or more than your initial investment. Past performance is not indicative of future results. Lightspeed is a division of Lime Brokerage LLC. Lime's Brokerage LLC is not affiliated with these third-party market commentators, educators, or service providers. Data, information, and material are provided for informational and educational purposes only. This content neither is nor should be construed as an offer, solicitation, or recommendation to buy or sell any securities or contracts. Any investment decisions made by the user through the use of such content is solely based on the user's independent analysis, taking into consideration your financial circumstances, investment objectives, and risk tolerance. Lime Brokerage LLC does not endorse, offer, nor recommend any of the services or commentary provided by any of the market commentators, educators, or service providers. And any information used to execute any trading strategies are solely based on the independent analysis of the user. Okay, now that we're done with that, for more information on the trading platform or Lightspeed, to get a demo or opening an account with Lightspeed, please contact me. My name is Joe Ely. I'm a registered rep here at Lightspeed. My email is jely@limebrokerage.com. I have with us, we're pleased to have Matt and Kevin from Eze here to present. They're going to take some time and pull up the live trading platform, show you some of the basic features of the platform, and then go into some of the more institutional type features that a lot of professionals and institutions use on a regular basis to trade the markets. All right, so I'm going to turn the presentation over to Matt. Let me see here. Bear with me 1 second. Okay, Matt, looks like your screen is up and you should be ready to go.
All right, great. Joe, thank you for the intro and for everyone that's on. I appreciate you joining us today. Just for a very quick background, my name is Matt Peacock. I've been with some version of what most people know as RealTick for over 15 years now. I'm the Director of Sales Engineering, and I cover execution management. So what I do want to just briefly talk about first is that while we have been around for 15 years, we've had that relationship with Lightspeed Trading or whatever version of Lightspeed it's been over the years, and we've been a different software company over the years, but they are our longest running broker relationship. So, what does that mean? First, we have a very tight relationship from an integration perspective. Start of day, position keeping and recording, end of day reporting back and forth with them, and also troubleshooting. Joe's been using the system for, I think, even longer than I've been here. So from a service perspective, anytime you need help on the system, both our service desk and the Lightspeed service desk can really help you out with any issue that you might have on the system. A little bit of background on the SS&C Eze EMS itself. As I mentioned, we have been trading electronically for almost 20 years. We run our own ticker plant. What that means is we connect directly to the exchanges for all North American market data fed directly through our system. And then we run our own private cloud-based execution management system and fixed network as well. So we connect directly through the DMA pipes to the exchanges through Lightspeed, and we can get your executions done very, very quickly and efficiently. So not only from a front-end perspective, which is what I'm going to show you today, but we also can handle API, Excel integration, and any type of API integration that someone might want to do if they want quantitative or very, very fast-paced trading. without further ado, I think I'll dive directly into the platform. While I did want to cover, and we do want to cover some of the more institutional features that have been coming up over the more recent years and what we've really delved into, such as transaction cost analysis, program trading, pairs trading, option spreads, futures. I also want to go through a very brief overview for some of those of you that may have never seen it or you want a little refresher. I'll cover what we're looking at right now and kind of some of the basics from an EMS perspective. First things first, our EMS is extremely configurable. So you can see here, all of these windows are detachable. So if you have 4, 5, 6 monitors, wherever you are, wherever you're trading at, you can move these windows anywhere you want. Fonts and colors are very configurable. I can go into this tools, this configuration dialog, go to colors and fonts, and I can turn on an entire different theme to change my color and background, or I can go to each individual window, change the fonts, change the colors. So once you have something that you're comfortable with, it's really easy for you to add windows, to add and change fonts and colors, and do those types of things. Also, for any one of our windows, we have a tab-driven view type of scheme. So you'll see here, I have equities in a tab, but if I just hit the LSE tab, it's just to show that we do have international data. ETFs, you can break it out by ETF. Futures, if you look at the CME right here. And then this portfolio, which is literally taking my list of orders that I have on my blotter and copying and then pasting them into a watch list so I can track the market and track the data as it ticks. So if I were to go back to this equities tab right here, you'll also notice that each and every one of our windows you can type directly into. So if I go here and I type in, say, Google and hit enter, it's going to actually pull in the security. Also keep in mind that we do support all symbologies. We have our own securities database. So what that means is you can use ISIN, CEDAL, RIC code, Bloomberg, whatever symbol you're comfortable with, we're going to be able to resolve within any of our windows, which makes it just a little bit easier to use for you users that might be used to a different system in the past or something that you've used in the past. Also, we have a lot of different canned indices, canned scanners, which can be very useful for someone day trading or someone looking for certain opportunities. You can see here, I'm just looking at the NASDAQ 100, but if I go into US stocks and I go into, say, NASDAQ primary session, I can take a look at the percent gainers for the day, the percent losers for the day, gap ups, gap downs, near 52-week highs, all those different types of things that you might want to use to kind of find different opportunities in the marketplace. As I take that out, you'll also notice that every one of our windows are linked together. Now, this linking can be configured however you want it. I can link any watch list to any market depth view or any chart that I want with this link screen. So you'll see here, I'm only linking to the 2, and then I have kind of a floating window for market depth on the bottom. So as you can see here, I'm going to go back to my US indices. I'm going to go back to my NASDAQ 100. And as I click on Apple, you'll see that my chart changes, and you'll see that my market depth changes. Moving on to the left-hand side here, you'll see here we do have a full charting and analytics package. As you can see here, you're looking at a 1-minute intraday chart on the left-hand side, but if I click over to this tab, I can go ahead and see that I also have a daily chart going back for months. Now, these are easily configurable. If I go into the setup screen, you can see here that I can do anything from a tick chart to time and sales, all the way down to a seconds chart on an intraday charting view. Now, you'll also see here, one thing that I am also overlaying that I did want to point out is orders and executions can be overlaid on the chart. So if you're looking at something and maybe you want to work it over the course of a few minutes or a day, again, focusing more on the institutional trading style, I can have every single fill plotted on the chart and then also get a view of my volume for that 1 minute that I was on the market. So if you're worried about moving the market, you can also see what percentage of volume that you were on that one trade. You'll see over here, as I move to the left-hand side, is my market depth screen. You'll see here we do have the full depth of book. And then if you kind of take a look at the bottom here, you can also change this to see a standard depth view where I'm looking at every single breakdown of the source, or I'm just looking at the aggregate view and the tiered view for pricing. So you can see it either way, and it kind of breaks down the full depth. You'll also see here, let me go to a little bit more of a liquid security. You'll also see that we have the market fragmentation, which gives you as a trader the idea of where these actually are getting executed. So again, taking a little bit more of an institutional perspective and stance here, I see that 34% of Apple is being done on alternative locations, so on dark pools or crossing networks or whatever that might be. And then I see NASDAQ as 25%, BATS as 8%, ARK as 6%. So if you were, say, as an institutionalized trader or looking for better execution, you might want to use a dark pool algo or a dark route. And I can kind of show you how to do that through Lightspeed's routing as well when we dive into that. And then on the right-hand side, you'll see here is just a ticker. Now, obviously, post-market, there's not going to be as many prints, but it will show you every single execution that comes through in a time and sales view on this ticker on the right-hand side. Going down to how order entry usually works, the most common way for order entry and basic point-and-click order entry are these embedded order entry forms. A lot of our traders, they want to see the depth, and they want to trade directly out of that depth of book. Also, keep in mind that every one of these fields within the actual order blotter can be defaulted. So you'll see here I have it defaulting to 3,000 shares, defaulting to the bid or defaulting to the ask, whatever you prefer. So if you're the type of trader that wants everything set up beforehand, you can do that. You'll also see all the different types of order types we support natively through Lightspeed. So whether that's a market on close, whether that's a pegged order, whether that's a trailing stop limit, we have those in support all the way down to iceberg orders. So you can do a show size for it and work it, as an iceberg. So you're kind of hiding your volume on the marketplace. For trading, it's as simple as a point and click. I'm going to go ahead and hit this buy button, and you'll see that that was routed out and enters into my order blotter. Now, within my order blotter, obviously, most day traders, they're worried about quick in and out, quick order entry. You'll see here that I can do inline changes just with a single click on this change button within my blotter. I could cancel it with a single click, or I can also use my mouse to simply click and drag it away from the market to change my price levels, or I can use these bump buttons to join the bid, join the ask, start working these out on the marketplace. Just showing and moving into how our order blotters work. We have hundreds of different fields that you can add to your order blotter. You'll see here I have my inline change, my cancel. I have my order limit price, my traded volume and average price. This hasn't gotten executed yet as it's post-market, and I've entered it as a limit order. But you would see those coming through. And then we also have our filters over here. So if I'm actually doing it, and if I right-click and set up filter, I'm sorting and filtering by my trader ID. But you could very easily do this by something like GIC sector or whatever you want to actually be able to sort and filter out, to make it easier for you. So you see information technology, and that's sorting and filtering the orders that I'm working on the blotter. Moving on, we also have position management. I mentioned position management. What we would normally do is we would receive a file in the morning from Lightspeed, and this is going to have your holdings from overnight. And then what we're going to do is mark that to market and calculate your daily P&L. So you see here, I've got my open P&L, no close P&L. These are some positions I opened earlier in the day. But you'll see here I have an option on the book, and then Apple, eBay, Fox, etc. It's calculating my P&L real time. Again, not ticking because the market's closed, so apologies for that. But you get the idea. And then I can also take an aggregated view of my P&L and performance. So you'll see here, I'm actually also doing that by GIC sector, really just because it shows well on a demo. You can do it by any custom field you might want as well. As you can see here, all your total proceeds, trade costs, and then your daily P&L at an aggregate view. So it's not just broken down by individual position. You can also see kind of an aggregate view within it. I did get a question that just came in over the line, and that is, are GTC orders available? Yes, they are. We natively support GTC orders. So you'll see here, if I go in, I can put a time and force on that for GTC. So I don't have it within this order form, but we do have GTC orders fully available within our system. So what I was going to do next, showing you kind of the basics, I was going to show you a little bit more of our advanced order entry. So starting with, a conditional and bracket type orders where you're kind of profit targeting. then getting into basket and program trading, and kind of how you can track your performance against the market if that's something that you ever want to do in your transaction cost analysis. Then diving into equity pairs, some option spread trading, and then kind of wrap it up from there, with some post-trade allocations, how you guys can even do that, across multiple different accounts or SMAs if you're a small fund or whatever you might be. And we can kind of show you all that functionality on the fly. So, starting most likely, starting with our basic trading, you'll see here as I click on a security, I get an option to work these little check boxes, a conditional order or even a bracket order. Starting with conditional order, I'm setting that up or building my limit how I normally would in my volume. So let's say I want to trade 5,000 shares. And when I hit the buy button, it pops up this conditional order dialog box. You'll see there's 3 different options that you can do for a conditional order. You can do a price or time trigger saying, I want this to route out 1 minute before the close. If you wanted to do kind of a customized little market on close or limit on close, or you can do a price trigger. So you'll see here, I can do a price trigger that I don't want to buy this, or if I already have a position, I don't want to sell this until my last price gets to a particular point. And then when it gets to that particular point, I want to route that order out in a particular way. So once it hits a price trigger, I could just route it out as a market order, or I could do that as a limit order as well, or a trailing stop, or however I want to actually build that order, but I'm building it off a price or time trigger. Order trigger, I can select an order that I already have. And again, I have dozens of accounts, so I have a lot of different choices here. But you can actually trigger, say, an OCO or an OSO. So an order send order, an order cancel order. You can very easily route those out as well. And then deferred ordered or trigger by user. So this might be something where you want to queue up your order and you want to be extremely quick with it, and you just want to hit a send button when it's ready to go. So you could have 3 or 4 orders that you're kind of looking at the same time, and you want to trigger those all with a click of the mouse, to be able to see that and see that go out. Another common one, the bracket order that you'll see here, you're setting up profit and loss targets. So, and you can see here, I actually do have the day versus GTC expiration directly in this window. But you'll see here I can set up a profit or loss target, and this just kind of protects yourself, right? Trading takes discipline, both when receiving profit and preventing loss. And you can also set templates for this. So you'll see here I have 3%, 5%, and 8% profit. I want to sell 34%, 33%, 33% as it goes up. If it goes down, I want to exit out of my trade completely and just take my loss and run. So you'll see how you can set those up, and then you're going to route those in, and our server is going to manage those orders. So someone else just threw in another question, said, I found the scanners, but I cannot find the sector components in the tell tree. That is because you do have to subscribe to GIC sector data to actually pull that data. I don't know the cost off the top of my head, but all of us have probably been frustrated with market data costs over time. But you do have to subscribe to that sector information and data separately. I don't know off the top of my head what the price, but we can follow up and find that for you as well for that type of thing. So that kind of covers basic point and click type of orders. But one thing that I did want to show, because we have done a lot of work on this recently over the years, is the ability to do program and basket trading. Now, this might be foreign to some of you, or some of you might not be concerned about this. But what this allows you to do is set a benchmark, so I can see my performance against either the arrival price, or when I pulled these into the system, interval VWAP, where I'm taking my performance against the marketplace. But what it also lets you do is stage the orders. So you're queuing up the portfolio or the program that you want to trade, and then you're slicing it out when you're ready to slice it out to the marketplace, and then you're tracking your performance. Now, one of the questions that's very obvious right now is to say, how do I get those orders in here? For the larger institutions, they might be routing them in from a rebalancing or a portfolio OMS or whatever that might be, but you can very easily pull them in by manually typing in a list or by loading it off of Excel. And you can see here, I can kind of pull in a list very quickly. And then what that'll do is stage it in and allow me to order this or route this however I want, and also tag it as a basket. So I have this U.S. cross-sector equity basket, and now I can work this as a program, see my performance, buys versus sells, see if it's dollar neutral, some of those things that an institutional trader might be interested in. So if I go ahead and pull this into the system, I actually have a couple orders that I was already working. You'll see that gets pulled in, and then you'll see it get pulled into my list. Now, one of the things for institutions that are very popular and coming more and more popular are the TCA features, or transaction cost analysis. And for transaction cost analysis, we actually have a number of different features, including pre-trade indicators, intra-trade performance metrics, and then post-trade performance as well. Now, again, this isn't traditionally very popular on the retail side, but from an institutional perspective, you want to know things like, what is the bid-ask spread percent? How wide is my spread? If your spread is 3.59% wide, you're more likely to move the market than if it's 0.00 or 0.09%. That's a very tight spread. I can probably just let this fly, and I'm going to execute it effectively without moving the market. What's the POV, or the percentage of volume against the 5-day ADV? If it's only 0.08 or 0.9, it's not likely to move the market. But if this order size is 4% of an average daily volume, maybe I have to be more careful with this trade. Volume profile would be typically how much of this security, based on the 20-day average daily volume or 20-day ADV, how much of this is typically traded by 351. Obviously, this is all 100%. We are post-market, so it's going to be showing as 100% within the volume profile. And then we have your other performance metrics, like what's my average price on my order versus the interval VWAP. When I throw this out there and I go DMA for this order, am I seeing way too much slippage? Why is that, right? Should I have worked this on an algo to protect myself? If I'm way far away from the interval VWAP, it negatively, that means I did not execute as well as the rest of the marketplace. And then obviously also the P&L features off my benchmark. I chose interval VWAP off my benchmark. I have my opportunity cost, or my unrealized P&L, my slippage, or my realized P&L, and then my total cost, or net profit and loss. Again, this is not analyzing your P&L off of your position. This is analyzing your P&L off of my basket or program trade that I loaded up, and doing it that way. But one of the other big features I did want to show from a basket trading or program trading perspective is the ability to execute multiple orders at the same time. So I could actually highlight all my buys, all my sells, just by clicking this buy and sell aggregation. And I can say, I want 50% to go out to Lightspeed's VWAP strategy all at the same time and start working. And now you'll see that we have the ability to route all those out at the same time and track your performance on those buys, both at an aggregate view level and then also within our list trading blotter. So all of these are live on the marketplace. All of them are ticking as a percent done. And then all of my P&L features and statistics are updating as well. So you see, opportunity cost, total cost, and slippage, as these execute and are routed out to the marketplace. It does, Joe, I do have someone out here. I'm not sure if you were able to see the question as well, but they seem to be muted and they can't hear the audio. So I just wanted to bring that up in case you wanted to do that. One thing I wanted to also dive into, we do have the ability to build what we call an algo wheel. So you'll see here I have this wheel route and button right here. I can create what I call a virtual route. So I can say, give me these account splits, and my Lightspeed wheel is send part of it to a dark pool and part of it to a VWAP. So if you saw something like Apple and part of that was executing properly, or part of that was you wanted the route to a dark pool, I can split this across the dark pool and across a basic VWAP strategy to get my execution done. So that's just a brief kind of overview of how we can do list trading. And then also keep in mind that we can do conditional orders on list trading or programs as well. So if I really wanted to, I could go in and I could say DMA, but conditional, highlighting multiple orders. I should do that. conditional, demo, execute, and it's going to allow me to actually say something like, if the S&P index or if the spiders go to a certain value, I want to buy all these underlying securities that are in the S&P 100 all at the same time. So you have the ability to build some of these and actually execute a basket on a conditional basis when price triggers or time triggers or order triggers hit what you want them to hit. So going back a little bit into some advanced execution on, say, options, right? We do have a pretty solid options tool and routing with Lightspeed, and I'll go over this very quickly. So I can type in the underlying security, you can see here, I typed in Google, and then I can set up what I want to see for all of the underlying options contracts available. Right now, it's pulling in everything, 40 months, but only 3 contracts in or out of the money. But I could very easily say 2 months, 5 contracts in or out of the money, and then you'll see that pull in to the options montage immediately. I can also right-click, go to Setup, and you'll see here that I can add fields that I might be concerned about. We do calculate our own Greeks, so if I wanted to put in delta, and I wanted to pull in, say, implied volatility, and row or vega or whatever I wanted to pull in, I simply move them over to my selected columns, hit OK, and then those are immediately calculating within the options montage. This right here is a spreads dialog screen, so I can build custom spreads and execute them being managed by us or being managed by Lightspeed, depending on what you choose versus exchange managed and managed. But you can also see how easy it is to build one, and you can also build outrights. So just by clicking this little arrow right here, I just want to trade, or I just want to cover a call, or whatever that might be. I pull in the Google contract I want to trade. I choose my actual execution type, say limit. I'm routing it through Lightspeed. I hit buy. I notice that you have a 0 available position, so I stamp this as an opening position, and then it's routed out just like any order. Stops on option spreads. That's a question just came in. Can you do a stop on an option spread? That is all going to depend on the broker route that we use. I believe that we only have limit and market through these, not stops. But what you could do is put a condition, for example, on your spread that says, okay, exit out, if it hits this price point and something like that. But no, we do not have stops. But let me dive into how you would build a spread and what you can do on a spread. Let's build just a simple vertical calendar spread or something like that. I got 122.5. I'm going to 122.5 for the March 29th. Again, we do have these spread types that are canned. So if you wanted to work a butterfly, we're going to put the template in there so that you build it correctly. If you do not build it correctly, we will give you a warning and say this is a call, it should have been a put, or whatever that might be. But you can always work a standard spread, always set your own leg ratios. So you can see right here, and then you'll see a number of different things. One, we are calculating the bid-ask spread. We're calculating the delta and the gamma. We're automatically defaulting your limit price on the spread to the midpoint of that spread. We're automatically defaulting it to a credit if it's a negative spread, automatically to a debit if it's a positive spread, and then we're allowing you to route that out. We support up to 8 legs, but I am not sure how many we support via Lightspeed, and we can follow up on that. But we can handle all the standard spread types that you would want to work that are available, in our order form. Then I can send the order. We're going to give you a confirm screen that breaks down exactly what your spread is going to look like. So you can see here what's on my buy side, what's on my sell side, and the amount of legs. And then I can route that just like I routed in equity, and I can see that working, out on the market. Or in this case, it got canceled because I'm not allowed to work spreads post-market. But it allows you, it'll show you a single line summary within your blotter, and then break it down by the individual legs that are within your option spread as well. Now, one of the things that we built in the more recent past, a couple of years ago, would be our equity pairs algo. And what this really allows you to do is trade equity pairs through Lightspeed, where we're managing your spread and we're trying to make sure that you never get lagged on that spread. So if you ever want to delve into the world of risk arb or the world of basic ratio spreads, we have the ability to build synthetic securities and track that spread, which is what you're looking at right here. And we also have the ability to handle that and trade those via our custom pairs algo. So first, talking a little bit about our custom securities, you'll see here that this is my custom security, and if I hit edit, I actually have the ability to change the spread or change the ratio within that. So as you'll see here, I'll right click, I'll send it to our RealTick pairs algo. I'm going to go ahead and select my Lightspeed account, and you'll see here that I'm choosing the DMA route that I want to execute with, and then I'm building my spread based on I'm building the spread based on who I want to execute it with, who I want to lean on. So let's say you've got Banco Santander, the ADR, which has a lot higher trading volume than the actual one that's traded, or the representative one unit, but you think there's some sort of ratio relationship between the two, you can build that spread and execute it within our blotter. So I would want to lean on the less liquid security. So I put this to no, and then I'm saying I can set a start time or an end time. I can send a clip size, so I only want to send 1,000 shares at a time. I want to actually say ratio or risk arb. I can type in the cash component, but in this case, it'd probably be a basic ratio spread. I set my ratio, and then I can say advanced settings as well. On my lean leg, I either want to join the bid, join 1 BIP away, or hit the offer. I want to pay up delta of 0.01 cent. What that means on the non-leaning leg, I want to hit the bid, but I'd be willing to go a cent toward the ask to get executed. Timeout of 30 seconds on my non-leaning leg. If it doesn't execute because it's very illiquid, change it to a market order and get it done. And then also fill trigger percent would be wait till 20% of my leaning leg is executed, and then slice out my non-leaning leg. Pairs are a complicated thing to go into and dive into, and I covered it in about a minute and 30 seconds. But if you want additional information, we have full documentation on how we are going to work your equity pairs, and we'd be happy to work with Joe and Kevin and those guys to get you guys that type of info. But we would be able to execute this via Lightspeed and via Lightspeed routes. So if you are interested in that type of execution, we have the ability to offer that for you. One of the other things that I did want to mention, we do support futures, and you can execute these futures via Lightspeed. So if I'm clicking the E-mini, we do have a basic depth of book view, and I do have also the ladder view that is very commonly used for futures traders. So if you can see here, I pulled in the E-mini. I have my Lightspeed account. My contract defaults are a little bit different for futures than they are for equities and options. But we have the ability to slice these out just as you would, on the equity side, and you can actually route those out, and pull that information as well. You'll notice here that we're using front month denotion, so we have the ability to actually say 1 month out, and that'll give you 1 contract away. If you do 0, it'll be the leading month. We also cover commodities, we cover equity, and we cover treasuries, whatever, FX futures. So if you do want to start trading those, we can have that discussion and how we would get there. Other things that I did want to talk about that I have not yet are things like price alerts, right? So let's say I have a list on my portfolio, or I have a list of orders that I want to trade over the course of the day. I also have the ability to say price alerts, configure. I can import a file for that alert. So if you want to save any of these watch lists as a file, I can import that, and then you can say things. You can set things like if it moves more than 5%, if the last price falls below a certain range, or even a custom condition. If it's a new 52-week high, whatever that might be, you have the ability to actually set those up in price alerts, and then you'll get either a sound or a pop-up. Other alerts, so that's kind of going into price alerts, but we also have the ability to look at order alerts as well. And what we've seen here is that when I go into order alerts and configure advanced alerts, things that institutional type folks or professional traders want to see. Let me know if my participation rate on a standard order out on the market ever gets more than 10% of the market share currently, right? Give me a sound, give me a pop-up. It lets me know that I might need to, pump the brakes, or I'm going to move the market. I also have the ability to say slippage from arrival. So if you are program trading, let me know if I post this up on my list trader and I want to work it over the day. Let me know if my slippage gets more than 3 bips from my arrival price, either positive or negative. Give me a pop-up or make a sound. And then also things that all traders are worried about. If you think an order is marketable from your limit price and you're not getting any fills, that might mean the fixed connection is down or we're having server issues. This will give you a warning or a pop-up after 30 seconds. Or if your order goes pending and we don't receive an ACK back between the exchange and our servers, this might be the fixed connection's down. We're having internet connectivity issues. When you're a trader and you're trying to work quickly, in and out of the market, these are very important things for you to be alerted on and for you to know about. So we have those types of advanced alerts that can really help. Last thing, if you're a really advanced trader, or if you like your mathematical equations and you really want to be able to do things, we have custom columns. So if I want to go in and I want to do some custom calculations, I can add custom columns. So this might be, what's the last price minus the bid, or whatever it might be, and you can kind of, as long as you can write VB script, or you want to call our service desk and we can write it for you. As long as you can write VB script, you can take any field that we offer and build a custom column, a color rule, whatever you need off of that column. So if we're missing something or a calculation that you really want, you can do it right within a custom column. Again, as I mentioned at the very beginning of our discussion, we also support Excel, RTD, and DDE links. So if you have your own custom formulas, or you want to trade off of positions and %2 values, we have canned spreadsheets that can even get you started and help with that. And you can trade directly out of Excel and pull market data and positions and orders into Excel. So if you want to test out some more advanced algorithmic or quantitative type of trading methods, we have the ability to support that via our APIs or our Excel APIs. So it's about a 30 to 35 minute dive into the front end system and kind of what we have offered recently and what we really offer those advanced professional traders. Actually, let me cover one more thing before I dive into questions, and that would be the post trade, right? So I've placed all my orders, but maybe I need to allocate this. I'm a small, SMA fund or whatever it might be, and I need to allocate this across a number of different accounts. You'll see here these orders that I've been working in my Lightspeed account across the day. I can go ahead and say, all right, I have 1,000 shares, and I have a client allocation account. I need 50% to go in account 4. And I need 50% to go into account 5. I can manipulate the prices. I can stamp a commission. Again, I'm not sure exactly who everyone on my audience is for this demo. But if you have these types of features required, you even have the ability to set up templates and standard allocation templates, say, 30%, 30%, 40% into these three different. And then as I submit these allocations, we can report those allocations through Lightspeed, for settlement or whatever that we need for those end of day processes. So you can allocate across accounts, post trade, if you need to do that within our system as well. So at that point, we did cover this pretty fast in about 40 minutes, but I did want to kind of open it up for questions. Does anybody have, some questions? I see one about e-signal linking. We do not have any links into anything like e-signal or third-party signal providers, I guess I would say. So we have no current third-party integration with any signal providers. other questions that maybe I can answer? And it looks like I'm having a little bit of trouble seeing some of these questions as well. How do you save your price alerts? I see. Okay, so saving price alerts, well, they should save automatically. So if I go ahead and configure, and I have a couple, that I put in here, that's going to go ahead and that should actually save automatically. But if you are having a specific issue with that, we're happy to look into that, as well. If you have more problems with that. You're saying sometimes they don't any way to save the SLF file. Yes, you can save the SLF file. To create an SLF file, let's say I have this portfolio one made, I can right click and I can say, symbols, and I can say save symbols, and that's going to be my current orders SLF. I hit save, tools, price alerts, configure, load SLF. What did I call it again? I don't even remember what I called it. Huh?
Current orders.
There we go. Pull that in, and now I can save my price alerts for all of my current orders. See what else we have. How do I import a list of symbols to a watch list? Another good question. So let's go ahead and create one from here, Market Minder. Again, these fields, I can go into column layout choices, configure the layout, however you want to do it. I think the easiest way might be just a copy paste. So let me just really quickly kind of open up an Excel file that I have. Her out. Sorry, hold on one second. My Excel's not cooperating very well. Not sure what happened there. Well, anyway, my Excel is not popping up for whatever reason, but what I would say is the easiest way is to just copy and paste from a comma delimited, a pipe delimited, or an Excel format, and it'll copy and paste directly into the blotter and create a watch list for you. Sometimes they don't. Please entering options, butterfly spreads, single option, spread form, butterfly. I'm not an options trader, so you guys can probably just make fun of me while I'm on the phone. But it'll tell you if I screw it up. So let's build it out. When I try to send it, there you go. Leg 2, strike price should be greater than the previous leg. Leg 2, expiration date should be the same as the previous leg. So that just gives you an idea. I am actually, I'm actually getting validation off of it, and that way it's easy, to do it. I think it's 3 consecutive, right? So let me see, like that. Butterfly spread. This was a positive, so it's a debit. Up the quantities, send order. I'm sending my butterfly spread. So something like that. Can I view my equity option and futures positions in a consolidated view? You absolutely can look at them in a consolidated view, or you can look at them in a separate view. So I've got options and equities right here. I'm not getting futures executions right now. My futures route is currently down. But let's say that I just wanted to do a setup filter, and I wanted to do this by security type. Now I have the ability to look at them combined in a single view, just look at my stocks, just look at my stock options, and I can filter out, just look at my stocks, my option is gone, just look at my option and my performance. And then one other thing I should kind of add as a caveat is you can actually see a delta hedging view where you can see dollar delta and pos delta. So I'm only working an option for Intel. But if you had it, I would be able to select Intel and click on Intel and then be able to see both my equities and my options in a single view, and it'll tell you your pos and dollar delta. So if you're really looking to stay dollar neutral, we don't do anything with this. We will not auto hedge for you or anything like that, but you do have the ability to view it and then take action and actually trade against those. So we'll view it both on the underlier and option level, as you can see here in the individual holding level, or you can take a look at that positions view that I have here where I'm separating my stock options, my stocks, or looking at all positions in the same time, with that aggregate view. Let's see, did I cover everything? E-signal linking, butterflies, futures in a view, consolidated view, GTCs. Is there a way to reduce the options for the order types? Yes. So that's another good question. You see here, I have everything in here. We absolutely have the ability to restrict based on route. So this is just a basic demo route. That's kind of why I'm on a demo. So I've got everything under here. But you can see here, if I go to like the algo for the algo route for Lightspeed, it only gives me limit and market, and then I'm kind of beholden by a VWAP, a TWAP, a dark pool algo. So yes, that looks very intimidating when I'm on my demo route, but we absolutely have the ability to limit those order types based on the route and however you want to do it. The first question was, how did you find the list of pre-programmed scans? That's actually in an F10. So as I am in a watch list, hit F10, and these will be under here, under like the US stocks. These are our canned kind of scanners right here. But again, the sector data, and if you want to break it down by sector data, you do have to, apply for the GIC sector actual components. How do you configure the buttons on the market maker? Another great question, and I actually didn't cover that. So a toolbar, I can right click, show windows, and then say, show toolbars, and do a new toolbar. And then the buttons themselves, I just right click on the button, configure the button, and it gives you a smorgasbord of different things that you can do with these. Anything from reversing my positions to a cancel all, to executing off of an algo and a save strategy. All these buttons are extremely flexible. You can see how you can do a trade size parameters, deltas on bids and asks. These are the bumps that I'm using. But you just right click, you create a toolbar, and then you add the buttons to that toolbar. Any other questions, guys, that I can cover for you? It looks like nothing else is coming in. Otherwise, Joe, do you have anything you'd like me to add, like me to cover that I can show for you guys?
No, I think that's it. I think we covered a great amount of material there, giving everyone a good idea of what RealTick can do for the institutional trader. And I wanted to thank you and SS&C Eze for the presentation today. It was really good. It was great. I think that really covers everything. I see a few questions here popping in. Let's see. So good question. Who can we contact for further questions? That would be me. My name is Joe Ely. Last name is spelled E-L-Y. You can email me directly, jely@limebrokerage.com. I'd be more than happy to help you out, answer any questions, and get you going. I think that really ends our presentation this afternoon. I wanted to thank everyone for attending, and have a good evening. If anyone has questions, I'll remain in the room for a few minutes and text back if you have some last minute questions. But that will conclude our session. Thank you very much. Have a good night.
Thank you, Joe. Really appreciate it. Bye.